It was the first time that I saw death at my doorstep. He couldn't even wave goodbye as I saw my mother depart towards the heavens. Since we were kids, we couldn't help plan the funeral, the arrangement, or the dinner that came after. And funeral etiquette says that we were supposed to wear black and look depressed, like a sick joke or something. We all jammed in a funeral procession up the long and winding street towards the Baptist church that my mother just recently passed by, now calls home. The service was hot, long, and dreadful, even from my small and minuscule frame in my minimal years on this earth. This is the first time that I experienced loss, but it wasn't the last. Society says that men are supposed to be stoic in the company of death, but I felt death should evoke an emotional response regardless of gender. Therefore, at my grandmother's funeral, my masculinity positively embraced the tears that ran down my face and the flood that flooded my heart. Summer of my 7th grade. We had moved into a suburban neighborhood. After growing up in rural Madison, Georgia my entire life, this was the first time that I experienced moving in an urban landscape. So while there, my brothers and I befriended some neighborhood boy, swag of city boy who grew up in the country. They all had all kinds of games, such as the new PS2, BB guns, a Game Boy Color, and even a bike. They were so cool. They mentioned how their father bought all that stuff for them. Not that a father should buy his children's love and affection. It's just that growing up without a father, I wish that I had one who could buy me things. So one evening, the boys, my brothers, and I got into a little argument over who had won a baseball game, which led to a full-on melee right in front of our doorstep for the foreseeable future. Where's the father when you need one? Fall of 8th grade. I finally had come to terms that I was gay. For countless years before, I skirted around this issue, refusing to come to terms with reality. I felt ashamed of my identity because kids name-called me over time, but I realized that those names were unfair, for they assigned a stereotypical portrayal of homosexuality that unjustly made being feminine a negative attribute. I wouldn't dare come out because I didn't know how my peers would accept such a thing. I was too cool to be ostracized. I mean, come on, have you seen his face? And I knew what happened to all the other gay boys on the football team and in PE class. They were beat up and bullied, and I didn't want to be like those kids. I always knew that I was gay since I was a smaller boy in Catholic elementary school. When I would switch and the nuns would pull me over and tell me, you couldn't do that, otherwise you're going to go to hell, son. But it was fun, though, watching all the pretty ladies move their bodies so elegantly back and forth, whereas men had to stiffen up and move like robots. I always thought it was unfair and unjust for folks to tell me how best to describe my sexuality. But simultaneously, when I was exploring my sexual identity, I explored my competitive drive. I always wanted to be accepted in the company of other men, so to cope, I strove to get all A's and become involved in school, so that I could get a high and respected male attention in the form of teachers, coaches, peers, to fill the void of dad. Some of these men played a prominent role in shaping the man that I would become later in life. In particular, my 8th grade social studies teacher, Mr. Williams, who taught me the valuable lesson that you always fight for what you believe in. I was fixated. Fall of junior year of high school. In high school, when my twin brother and I were 17, and my little twin brother was 15, my mom succumbed to stroke. I was heartbroken to find that my matriarch was no longer the mother and father of my life, but my little brothers and I had to bear the responsibilities of life head on. We were fortunate that our lives were not disrupted in the sense that we had to leave home and live with other relatives, or be like many of the unfortunate souls within foster care. Being from suburbanites, we could easily walk back and forth to school if need be, go to the Publix off of Wesley Chapel, or a Quick Trip when we needed slushies to refuel ourselves in between class. With my mom absent, I constructed a man-of-the-house identity on the fly. There was no learning curve, no second chance, no manual to read. Every action and inaction had real-world consequences. Therefore, I needed to assume this leadership role regardless of my own personal capabilities. My book-laden paradise of school was no longer school, was no longer paradise, and it was no longer home. The events I told to you today of competition, loss, despair, sexuality, and power are events that I've experienced without a father present. I created this anthology to paint the picture that life can be parts fear, parts exploration, or even parts amusement. Yet, it is up to the person to define this reality. Although I used to shop in the Masculinity store of life, buying plastic masks to cover what's underneath, over time I've taken on parts of my mask pertaining to my sexuality, and I'm currently taking on parts of my mask as it regards to my public emotions. I've molded a new existence contingent on my own personal self-discovery and the social expectations that I decided to paint atop this creation. Thank you.